From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Beat the Champ with Janelle Sabin and Sue Novoitsky. My name is Paul Peck. We have taken our perfectly drilled bowling ball, thrown it down the 90, and we have hit a strike here in Genesee County as we have come to Batavia for the next month of action.
Christmas in Batavia is starting to be something that we do every single year,
Why
right?
not? That's right. It's our second time we have been here. This is a great place that turns out some outstanding performances, and over the next month, we've got a good lineup of regular Beat the Champers like Jeremy Zimmerman, Chuck Jagosinski, red hot guys like John Danielewicz. Josh Vogt's going to be our first bowler off the bat. We've got 3 debuts, and we've got a Batavia guy as well.
Right, so that's what this show is all about. You know, we get the champs, we get the people we know, we get the people we see on a regular basis, and then we get the new people coming in to try to upset that mix.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good mix of bowlers over the next 4 months, which I know makes things exciting for you because you never know what you're going to get from our crowd.
We never know, and these crowds are exciting, and I think we might have a little fan in the crowd we saw last year. And we might get to see him today.
I got you. Well, there you go. There's a little teaser. So we've got great bowlers, we've got good fans, and we're going to have fun over the next month right here at Mancuso's Lanes in Batavia. So let's get rolling.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with our champ, John Danielewicz. After you won, you bowled a tournament the next day at Island Lanes, and I hear you won that.
Yes, I did. Yeah. It was a good day for me, good weekend.
Did they play the same? Was it similar?
No, completely different. It was a sports shot that was out there, but they kept changing every game, and I was able to figure them out.
Did you get a little bit of a comfort level from your win the day before?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, keep up the good work. It was great watching you, and I know that you're going to be good in this tournament today.
Thank you.
All right. I'm here on Beat the Champ with Josh Vogt, your second show here on Beat the Champ, and the last time we saw you, you were having a fundraiser for your daughter. Tell us a little bit about that.
My daughter was born with a congenital heart defect, and my wife runs a tournament every year, and we do it to raise funds to promote CHD awareness for all kids that were born with a heart defect.
Is it always around the same time?
It's usually we're trying to make it the Buffalo Bills bye week so that, there's no interference with the football game.
Well, that's a great cause, and that's at the 11th frame in East Aurora?
Yes.
All right, well, back to Beat the Champ. How was your first experience on Beat the Champ?
It was great. Came up a little bit short with a ring and 10 pin, but it is what it is, and you come back, so.
All right, well, we got Jeremy and you this week, so we're going to see how that plays out, because that's how it went last time, right?
Hopefully I can make it that far to beat you, right?
Okay, well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Match number 1 features our returning champion from Island Lanes last month. That's John Danielewicz, and as I mentioned, it'll be Josh Vogt, his challenger here in match number 1. And as we've come to know from John, Sue, and saw 2 weeks ago at Island Lanes, he is just a true pro and a guy that once he is locked in, he is tough to beat.
Well, the word on the street about John is that he is good under any condition. And he has a nice, simple game, and sport shots and house shots, none of it affects him. He's very, very, he's down and in, he keeps it simple, and he seems to be successful in everything he does.
And right off the bat, a good start, a strike in the first frame for John Danielewicz. More on him in a moment. But our challenger for the match number 1 is Josh Vogt, making his second appearance here on Beat the Champ. Only one time we've seen him before. It was a loss, and it came to Jeremy Zimmerman during his long 14-match winning streak. In particular, Josh's loss came at Classic Lanes. He is 31 years old from East Aurora.
Oh, one of your true taps in bowling right there. It was a perfect shot, but the ball just deflects and misses the 8-pin, and that's a tough one.
Yeah, all right, so tell everybody a little bit about Mancuso's Lanes here, the conditions, the wood, surface, synthetic, and what we kind of know about this place.
Well, we know it's going to be pretty high scoring. This is your typical house shot, and sometimes they'll throw a sport shot out at these bowlers, but this time this is a house shot.
It's the holiday season. It'd be nice to everybody, right?
Looks like there's a significant amount of oil out there, so don't want to embarrass anybody at Christmas time.
No, we want everybody to feel good for the holidays.
That's right. So you're going to see down and in, you see your normal changes on this condition, but there's a little bit more oil out there, so it holds up better for the whole day. So, we'll have to see it's also going to affect how the players that are out there and where they play on the lane.
So expect some really good scores, really good scoring here for the rest of the month here at Mancuso's Island Lanes. And there's a strike from Josh Vogt in frame number 2. And back to John Danielewicz now. And as I mentioned, he is making his 5th appearance here on Beat the Champ, an overall record for John of 4 wins and 2 losses, 59 years old, from Sanborn, New York, and currently riding a 2-match winning streak. Won the last 2 matches at Island Lanes. As a matter of fact, not only did he win the last 2 matches, Sue, but he went 245, 246 in the last 2 matches.
Well, it's interesting because these two players, these two players are playing around the same spot on the lane, because generally on a house shot, your break point is going to be the same. It's how you get there. And, you know, Joshua has a lot more power to his game, a lot more rev rate. John here has less of a rev rate, but doesn't stop at how successful they are. So it's one of those things that, you know, just because you're a big power player doesn't mean that you outpower the straighter player.
And you see the focus from John Danielewicz as he eyes up lane 19 here at Mancuso's Bowling Center and grabs his 3rd strike of the match.
Perfect. In fact, you saw Josh left an 8-pin on his first shot, and that is actually indicative of a power player, you know, because the break point is so sharp.
Frame number 3 for Josh Vogt.
Ooh, got that one in.
Yeah, you could see just a little too much to the left. 31 years old, as I mentioned, has been bowling since he was about 5 years old. Hasn't bowled much here in Batavia. As a matter of fact, he says he probably hasn't been here in 10 years, and he doesn't even think the last time he was here to bowl. He was here for something else. So, you know, and he was our top qualifier. So it's not because there's some kind of home lanes advantage.
No.
It's just because he's bowling great.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
If you're playing, you want to start playing right up around the 2nd arrow, and you technically leave about 7 to 9 boards for your body. Good shot there. So if you're playing 10, you line up your feet around the 18th board, because that's the clearance for your body. So that's just, you know, a good starting point when you first bowl your league, and you want to just, you know, get a feel for the lane condition, then you move from there. But that's standard, to leave about 7 or 8 boards, depending on your size, to your target.
That's interesting. That's the first time you've talked a little bit about the best way to get yourself familiar with,
right.
You know, with a bowling center when you first walk in.
You've got generally, you know, 15 minutes of practice, and you've got to figure this puzzle out in 15 minutes, or at least get close. So you have to have a starting point, and that's the starting point to play straight up the lanes.
So now to the 8th frame for Josh, and I think he's still got a shot here after the mistake by John, but Josh just isn't finding a rhythm to be able to pounce through that opening right now. And he's making spares, which is good, but I think a couple strikes might have changed the whole dynamic of this match.
Well, the fact that he made those few bad shots, and they were completely his fault, but as a bowler, when you've got a short period of time and you're making, you know, he switched balls, tried to fish around a little bit, and kind of lost his ball reaction.
3 consecutive spares in frames 6, 7, and 8 for Josh Vogt. So now, after the open in 7, John Danielewicz now, as you look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. We are in Castellone territory here in Genesee County as well, too. Good to have a home game for those guys. So now John's got to respond back after that. You know, I'm sure he would call it a bad miss on that single pin spare attempt. A whole lot of wobble, and they won't go down. So the 8 and the 10 won't go down, and leaves him a very tricky split.
Wow. That's one of those dangers of using a surface ball and you've got a great shot to the pocket, but you lose a little bit of hit because it tends to burn up a little bit, and that's one of the leaves that are dangerous.
So he's able to get the 8 pin, but that's now back-to-back opens for John Danielewicz in frames 7 and 8. And you talk about the change of this match late, and you can see the scores now. Boy, Josh Vogt couldn't have gotten a better opportunity to get back in this.
Right, it's made it an 8-pin match at this point, but you know, Josh still has to figure out. He still has to figure it out. He's still fishing out there.
This is an important frame for John, and look how he responds. A strike in the 9th for veteran John Danielewicz.
And he knows that no matter what Josh does now, John can still get up and win this match. That was a huge strike in the 9th frame, because he still can shoot 211 by striking out, and the best Josh can do is 203.
So now to the 9th frame for Josh, and he needs some strikes here. And that was a rather emphatic response.
Great shot.
Josh bowls regularly out of his hometown of East Aurora, and we've talked in his previous appearances at the in honor of his dad's snake. They have the Snake Vogt Memorial on Tuesdays in East Aurora, which he's a big part of.
Yeah, this is a family-oriented young man right here. Big shot here.
Big 10th frame strike for Josh Vogt. So he's putting the pressure on John right now. And he'll get 2 more chances to continue to do that.
So right here, he really needs 9 or a strike on this to force John to spare and get good count. So a minimum of 9 will force John to have to double.
And how about 10?
See, that's the beauty of this Beat the Champ. And this guy was fishing around the whole game, and when it came right down to it, he was able to bear down and throw these shots that he needed. And that's what makes these bowlers great.
Yeah, and again, combined with seeing a little bit of a hiccup by John, which maybe changed Josh's approach, which is, hey, I got a shot here, let me bear down. And he'll grab 9 pins on that final throw, and Josh will post up a final score of 202.
What a great finish.
So coming right down to the 10th frame here with a strong finish from Josh Vogt. So what does John Danielewicz need here to clinch a win?
He's going to need to double. Yep, he needs to double now. Count's not enough because Josh got enough count to force a double here.
So 2 strikes needed from John Danielewicz to win and advance to the next match against Voytovich.
Good shot. Oh.
And you saw his reaction and a little pound of the ball return, because John knows what that means. He just couldn't get that 10 pin to drop.
Man, we had all the elements of bowling here the last 2 frames. Guy coming up, not having a great idea, not having the best shot in the world, making great shots, and then coming back with another great shot and ringing a 10 pin, which is another nemesis of bowling.
Why don't we just eliminate those 10 pins? Just go with 9.
Well, that way 300. That wouldn't be fair.
Then we wouldn't get all select complaining about the 10 pin. All right, so John will finish it out here, and what a dramatic way to start things off here at Mancuso's Bowling Center, as John Danielewicz, appearing to be in control, winds up losing to Josh Vogt by a 202-191 final. We'll talk to John and get his take on it and preview our next match when Sue and I return. You're watching Beat the Champ from Batavia, New York. We're back right after this. Well, it was kind of a kick in the gut, 202-191 loss for you there, John. You're in control. You hit that little stumble in 7 and 8, and then you still had a chance to come down and win down the stretch. What happened?
I made a good shot in the 10th. I just didn't get the carry on the 10th, and that kind of cost me.
It's a little bit of the frustrating part of this sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not much you can do about it, right? Sometimes those pins fall and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, just like the 8-10. I was watching it wobbling, but it didn't fall down.
Yeah.
Would have made a whole different game.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen pins wobble that much without falling down. Well, Mike, try to make them feel a little better here at the holiday season.
Yep, this is for you, John. Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you.
Good bowling.
All right, good bowling by one of our favorite bowlers here on Beat the Champ, John Danielewicz. We got a good match with two more of our favorites coming up next. Stick around. More Beat the Champ from Mancuso's Bowling Center in Batavia right after this.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with Dana Voytovich. Dana's a little bit unique. He's a two-hander. So to better explain it, tell us what a two-handed bowling really is.
Well, it's actually a two-handed approach. It's not a two-handed delivery. The left hand comes off the ball before I release it. So it's a little different, just in the fact that the arm's still on the ball through the approach. But other than that, it's not that different from a normal style.
Does it affect the roll, or does it, do you have to play them differently than a right-hander would, so to speak? Like, would your target be different?
Well, with the two hands, you get more of a rev rate, and I think you get more control. But
It doesn't look like it, but you think it's more control?
yeah, definitely.
All right, well, we'll talk about that more while you're bowling. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Match number 2 will feature Josh looking for his second consecutive win against the challenger Dana Voytovich. Two guys that know each other, bowl with each other, against each other, for each other. So this should be an interesting match between Josh and Dana. We've seen Dana on the show before. This is his third career Beat the Champ appearance.
I hate to say this, but they actually look a little bit like each other.
I'm not sure which guy will react negatively to that. So the two-hander, Dana Voytovich, opens up with a strike.
I thought that it was interesting in my interview with Dana that he said that he felt that he had more control as a two-hander. And as someone who's always bowled traditionally, that seems incomprehensible to me. But
Well,
I've never done it, so I can't say.
You and all of us have learned the nuances of the two-handed bowlers as they become more prominent. We've seen more of them here on the show, and those guys are refining their abilities as this rather new style continues to develop. So, if that's what makes Dana feel more comfortable, I don't doubt that that's the truth.
It's just that it seems to be a bit more physically demanding because the way you twist your body. But you are holding the ball with both hands, so.
And that's a first frame spare for Josh Vogt to get things started. And Josh will slide over. So apparently the story between these two guys is the night before we taped here at Mancuso's Bowling Center, in Josh's regular league in East Aurora, he couldn't make it, so we had Dana fill in for him. And what did Dana do? Dana went out and threw 300, 299, 247 for a pretty impressive 800-plus series.
That is.
And at the very least, that kept Josh Vogt's teammates happy. Matter of fact, Josh may not have his regular spot back, depending on how this match goes.
That'll give you a little confidence for your warm-up for Beat the Champ.
So now back to Dana Voytovich, who I mentioned, third appearance on the show, 1 win and 2 losses. Last time we saw him was over the summer at the Rapids Bowling Center when he was one of the victims of Kevin Bianco's consecutive 10-match consecutive winning streak. So it's been a little while since we've seen Dana, who is 21 years old from Cheektowaga and a full-time student at UB.
Great shot. You know, this Western New York is so full of great bowlers, and you just mentioned another one. He won the Masters, right? He won the Tri-City. Nope.
Who are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of Bianco.
Oh, Kevin Bianco won the Open Hour Masters.
He won the Open Hour,
yeah,
right?
Sure.
I thought he won the Masters. And
when you talk about so many great bowlers, you have to be more specific to me.
But you
for
just
that.
brought up Kevin, and we haven't seen him on the show in a while, and it just says a lot about the community of Western New York and how strong they are, because we see some of the same bowlers. We see, Mike Sarcone, who's obviously earned his way onto this show.
And later in our next match, we'll see another one of those guys in Jeremy Zimmerman that we've seen a lot on this show, and he is our second most winningest Beat the Champ bowler.
You got to keep in mind that every month, 9 people from Western New York make the show. So, you got to get out here and bowl if you're gonna make it onto the TV show. But,
and that's 9
community.
out of somewhere between 70 and 100 bowlers that attempt to qualify every month.
Absolutely, but anybody can beat anybody on a given day. Like, we haven't seen Kevin back on the show, which means these guys, I'm sure he's still qualifying. So, anybody can beat anybody.
Absolutely.
You got to come out and give it a shot.
Yeah, and in particular, as we talked about in our first match, a guy like Josh who really has never bowled here. So it's not like he had some kind of Batavia advantage. He literally hadn't even walked in the door of this place in over 10 years.
Right.
And he comes in and winds up being our top qualifier. So even more of a reason for you to say, oh, I don't bowl well there, or I haven't bowled there, or there's going to be too many Batavia guys who know the lanes better than I do. That's not necessarily the case. We've clearly seen that. So spare strike on the first 4 for Josh Vogt. Dana Voytovich, meanwhile, is clean across the board with strikes in the first 3 frames.
Western New York waited a long time for a TV show to come back. We had, Beat the Champ way back when, and there was a Tops TV Challenge for a little while. But it was a long time coming for a show to come back with bowlers, and the bowlers need to come and showcase their skills.
And a
nice
late
shot.
fall on the 7-pin makes it 4 in a row for Dana Voytovich. And we talk about qualifying, and we talk about all the people that do it. Don't forget, top qualifier in our round of 24 every month wins a television valued at $500 from our friends at Dirt Cheap TV. So, if you come to a place and qualify, you can bowl well. You can walk out with a TV. You can walk out with a TV appearance. And if you win on TV, you can walk out with a nice little boost to your wallet.
Right, and you just keep making more money as you go. Plus, there's a prize fund while you're qualifying. So there's money to be made all over the place.
5th frame now. Can Dana keep it going? Yes,
Wow,
he
great
can.
shot.
Perfect through the first 5 frames for Dana Voytovich. And now, just like it was in his last match, Josh Vogt being pushed to the test by his opponent. He needed some hiccups from John Danielewicz in our first match and some clutch performances in the final 3 frames to come up with the win.
Wow, what a shot.
And Josh seems to be finding a groove a little here. That's 2 in a row.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
I think one of the things that is a great thing for Josh, but also can be a challenge for him, is that ball speed. I mean, in the first frame, you saw him go a little bit light, and he just fires that ball through his break point. So he's got to, that shot right there was perfect, but that's one of the issues for him, is he's got to control that ball speed.
Just didn't get enough push to the left.
That's a perfect
there.
example right there. If you get into the oil bit with all that ball speed, that ball's just going to go straight.
So it'll be a spare attempt here in the 6th frame for Josh Vogt, who has to know what his opponent has done with perfect 5 strikes for the first 5 frames. How do you let that not sink into your head?
Right. Once he's halfway through, perfect through halfway through the game, it's building up a bit of a lead here. There's no room for Josh to have any opens anymore.
So now on the backside, frame 6 for Dana Voytovich. Of course, we've seen plenty of his uncle Greg, who is one of our favorite Beat the Champ bowlers. We haven't seen Greg in a while. We saw him very early on in the run of the show, and
right.
we always like to kid Greg about those crazy bowling shoes of his. But Dana is really one of the young up-and-coming bowlers here in Western New York.
He got married and we never saw him again.
Yeah, well. And the perfect streak comes to an end with a sticky 10-pin that will end that run of 5 consecutive strikes to open up for Dana. 7 career 300 games. Unfortunately, this will not be an 8th. 2 times he's thrown an 836 series, including the one that we mentioned the night before our taping at out at East Aurora.
So 31 pin lead for Dana. Josh is going to have to put his strike shoes on.
Well, we saw him do that in the back half of
Absolutely.
the last match. Matter of fact, he had strikes in 9 and 2 in the 10th frame. An outlet allowed him to win the first match. And now Dana will look to go back on a strike run here. Winner of this match takes on Jeremy Zimmerman, one of our most successful Beat the Champ bowlers. And right back to striking. Even though Mike Zarcone was the winner of the Dirt Cheap TV as the top qualifier, Mike did not make the roll-off show, so this is one of the first times maybe in the last 6 months that we have not had Mike Zarcone on the show, which gives Jeremy Zimmerman an opportunity to catch up to Mike for the most wins here on Beat the Champ. Jeremy is trailing Mike by 2, and he'll get a chance to add to that in our next match.
And we know it means a lot to Jeremy.
And to Mike.
And to Mike. And you're right. That's an interesting competition there.
Oh, yeah. Mike was very excited when he passed Jeremy in our last months of bowling at Island Lanes to take over the top spot. Big strike, 2 in a row for Josh Vogt. And once again, he is a late game performer.
I have to tell you, that was one of the best shots I've seen him throw. That was absolutely perfect. That's one of those shots when it comes off your hand, and you just know it's good.
So Dana Voytovich looking to get his second Beat the Champ win. The only one of those before, as I mentioned, came at the Rapids Bowling Center. So looking to get a Batavia victory. And talk about keeping the heat on. Good clutch 8-frame strike for Dana Voytovich.
So at this point, Dana just has to stay clean to shut Josh out. Josh still has a 248 as a potential score, but Dana with only 1 non-strike has a big game going on here.
Yeah, just think about that. 248 might not be enough.
Right.
We expect with the conditions here and the house shot at Mancuso Bowling Center that we're going to have some good scores, and good pin action takes down the 10 pin for Dana Voytovich. So more of a reason to tune in the next couple of weeks, because we could have some really good scores here. And Josh Vogt trying to hang in there, but it's not going to be enough, as Dana Voytovich is going to come up with a victory here and preview our next match when we return to Beat the Champ here at Mancuso's Bowling Center in Batavia. $278-217 our final score, and Josh, you put a lot of pressure on both bowlers, but guy throws 278 on you, that's a lot of pressure on you.
It is. 278 is a really hard score to beat because you obviously got to throw a 300, but Dana's on fire, and it's good to see him bowling well, but I just wish he wasn't on fire against me.
Yeah, I get it. You know, and what you told me, you hadn't been in this bowling center in like over 10 years, so Mike, you got to give him a reason to want to come back here.
Well, you know, you bowled well during qualifiers, and, you know, just a matter of carry today, so, you know, best of luck, but here's a little something for your efforts, and we appreciate you coming out.
All right, so anything less than 10 years will get you back here?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Prepare yourself, Batavia. You're going to see more of Josh Vogt coming up here. We're going to see more of Dana Voytovich. Good match coming up. Dana versus Jeremy Zimmerman. That's next on Beat the Champ.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with a familiar face, Jeremy Zimmerman. It's been a month since we've seen you, but what has this whole winning so many times and setting the record done for your life, done for you in the bowling community?
Well, I've gotten a ton of Facebook messages from people I have no clue about, and they're just always constantly in my inbox and saying they watch the show and they're following, and it's just amazing. And I work with my brother doing carpentry, and 3 times this week we've walked into a customer's house and they instantly were like, I know you from somewhere. 10 minutes later, boom, I know where it's from. It's from Beat the Champ. And I'm like, oh God, I don't like it. But it's fun and enjoying the moment.
Now, you said something about surgery. What's that all about?
I have surgery on the 11th for a hernia, and if I'm not champ today, then I'm probably missing next month. So today kind of gives me more inspiration to buckle down and make better shots and hopefully win.
Okay, well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Match number 3 here at Mancuso's Bowling Center in Batavia. Should be a very good one. Dana Voytovich coming off the win. You got a brief glimpse at Jeremy Zimmerman, one of the most familiar faces here on Beat the Champ. And anytime Jeremy bowls, you always wonder if he's ready to start another winning streak, and we'll find out. But Dana's going to have something to say about this one. So this should be a really good match between two outstanding bowlers.
Yeah, Dana mentioned that after his last match, after his last game, that he has averaged 279 for his last 4 games. If you include his night before at East Aurora.
Hey, can't right?
No,
on a roll. Doesn't matter where.
You're right. Confidence has a lot to do with everything.
Yeah. So Dana gets started with a strike, and here's Jeremy Zimmerman making his 10th different appearance on Beat the Champ, an overall record of an impressive 15 wins and 4 losses. He is number 2 overall in Beat the Champ wins, trailing Mike Zarcone by just 2. And of course, Jeremy Zimmerman holds the top spot of most consecutive victories at 14. And a strike to start things off. Now, Jeremy's dealing with a couple of things here, which will be curious to see how much it's going to affect his bowling.
Right.
He is going to have, matter of fact, next week, have some hernia surgery. So that's affecting what he can do as far as his bowling stroke is. And I think it's also related to the fact that if you haven't noticed yet, you will. He's not wearing bowling shoes, he's wearing sneakers for better grip.
And honestly, I would never recommend wearing sneakers while you bowl. And he's doing that so he doesn't slide, and because when you're sliding,
probably aggravates the hernia.
You have to pull, you have to stop yourself with your core, and I'm sure that's hurting him. But I would never recommend to anyone out there wearing sneakers to bowl. It just stops you on the lane, and that's a whole different set of problems.
Yeah, and as you watch Jeremy, you'll notice that I think he's in a little pain here, as to be expected. He's having surgery for basically a sports hernia. So he's battling his way through this, and we'll see whether that affects his ability to score or not. So far, 2 frames, 2 strikes.
And it really speaks to Jeremy's love of bowling, because he should probably have skipped this altogether. But
hey, there's a year-end title to win here, right?
Hey.
There's I mean, not really, but essentially, whoever wants to crown themselves king of Beat the Champ will be determined by our year-end here coming, and Jeremy needs 2 wins to catch up to Mike Zarcone to tie him for overall wins.
I've seen bowlers with broken toes cut the front of their shoes out so they can still bowl, and bowlers are determined.
So now let's see if Dana Voytovich can continue to put the heat on Jeremy, because that may have an impact on how Jeremy's feeling as well, too. 2-handed stroke will not get the strike. 10 pin stays in frame number 3.
Well, Dana's game is looking very solid. He hasn't missed his target. He's been steady at the line. He's as good as I've ever seen him bowl right now. He's going to be tough.
And it's a tribute to Dana, and not that all of our bowlers don't have a lot going on in their life, but it's a tribute to him that he's a full-time student coming up on the end of the semester and dealing with a few of those things that go along with that here in December as part of being a full-time student at UB. So how do you think, and I'll let you watch Jeremy here in frame number 3, how do you think that what he's dealing with is affecting his ability to bowl, or maybe having forced him to change the way he's bowling?
Well, his game is very down and in, so it's naturally right to left, and he tries to do as little to the ball as possible and just puts it in the right direction and lets the ball do the work. That was a great shot right there. Wow.
You know, and for those Beat the Champ fans that have been watching us regularly, they know what an amazing run it was for Jeremy Zimmerman. 3 wins at Rapids, 9 at Classic, where he swept the entire month, which had never happened on this show before, and then back to Rapids to win 2 more before Chuck Jagodzinski ended the winning streak. And oh, by the way, we'll see Chuck Jagodzinski next month maybe another match against Jeremy Zimmerman. We'll find out. We'll see. But it was an amazing run for Jeremy Zimmerman, and amazing not only in the way that he bowled, but frankly amazing because it was unlikely. I don't know that you has tuned into anybody as well as you are to the bowling community in Western New York would have ever predicted that Jeremy Zimmerman would be the guy to run 14 in a row.
You never know, right? It's just, and a lot of things have to go his way, just as any match. Anytime we bowl against each other, we bowl league, bowl anything, things have to go your way. We saw John Danielewicz throw an absolutely perfect shot and leave a 10-pin to lose this match. So you need some things to fall your way too, and I remember that vividly, that
He had a lot of stuff go his way. And he created it. Yes.
Absolutely.
He created it by putting pressure on his opponents who didn't do what we thought they maybe should have done. And again, that's a tribute to a great athletic performer, no matter what it is, that sometimes you create your opponent to make mistakes that allow you to win. Right. A lot of people hate the word luck. They think you create your own luck. And you know, he made good shots when he needed to and put enough pressure on people to just pinch it just a hair. You know, this is very much a game of touch, and when you're tight, it shows. So Dana got that one a little bit left, which again keeps that 10-pin up. So what's his adjustment here in frame 4? Well, it's very hard to adjust when you're leaving 10 pins, honestly. It depends what kind of 10-pin, but he's not leaving, you know, flat 10 pins that really require him to make a move.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. But Jeremy has to keep his feet steady because it's gonna hurt him not to. So it's almost helped him. 8th frame. Another strike. That's 4 in a row for Dana Voytovich. And he's had strikes across the board except for spares in 3 and 4. So through 8, both guys have 6 strikes and 2 spares. Pretty even, right? Exactly what we expected between these two outstanding bowlers. What a match, that's all I can say. And now the 21-year-old from Cheektowaga and the full-time UB student eyes up frame number 9. There's another strike. And now the pressure goes right back on our 35-year-old full-time carpenter from Lockport, Jeremy Zimmerman. 227 is the average, and we've seen that number be even higher from Jeremy before. This match is tight, but you know, those 2 strikes for Dana were very important, and it really kind of puts him in the driver's seat here. Although anything can happen. Got the big 9th and 10th ahead for Jeremy. And he'll start it here with the 9th frame. But he can't shut Dana out. Dana's still going to get an opportunity to come in and win this match in the 10th frame. Just did not get that messenger pin to take the 10 out. He looked like he knew that off his hand. It's weird as a bowler, you know, even though they hit the pocket, and to us, we couldn't tell, he knew off his hand that it wasn't as good as it should be. Just wasn't perfect. Right. Ninth frame spare opportunity here for Jeremy. Well, Jeremy sounds out there like he's already conceding, but if he strikes out here, he's still forcing Dana to mark, and you just don't know. Well, we've seen so much happen in our 2 years here. If anybody should know that, it's Jeremy, because at least 3 or 4 times during that 14-match winning streak, you probably said the same thing, and guess what? What the expected result from the opponent didn't always happen. Right. You could also really notice Jeremy hobbling, particularly after he throws, and I really noticed it as he moved over from 20 to 19, that, you know, that sports hernia situation of his is really bothering him.
Great job.
And a big answer in the 10th frame with a strike.
Well, regardless of what happens in this match, there's a lot to be said for how Jeremy has come out here and bowled.
No question. And frankly, there's a lot to be said about how much he's bowled, how well he's bowled all year long. He has been one of the stories of this show as this year has gone on with the 14-match winning streak.
And this game right here was as good, if not better, as any of those games that won, and that's how this sport is.
Second throw in the 10th frame.
Ooh.
Another strike. So he's really going to put the pressure on Dana here. And another strike as you look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. If Janelle puts another X down there and puts up the big final score, it's really going to put the heat on Dana.
Count here is actually very critical.
And another strike.
Okay, so the picture here is Dana goes 9 spare 9. We actually have a tie. So a strike here will lock it up. Anything less than that,
On this first throw.
a strike here he will win.
Okay. 246 is on the board for Jeremy Zimmerman. So Dana Voytovich, who is on a run of 5 consecutive strikes, if he gets a 6th, he wins. If not, we have the potential for a tie or a Zimmerman win. And there's your strike to clinch it. What an answer by Dana Voytovich with all of that hanging over his head, and he knew every one of those scenarios. He comes up with a win, a very clutch performance here as he gets his 6th consecutive strike to clinch the win, and it's Dana that will move on to next week's show, and boy, that was a lot of fun, just as we expected.
Jerry made him work for every pin of that.
Yeah, I mean, by ending with 3 consecutive strikes to force that 10th frame strike. And there's another one for Dana. Boy, after the 278 he put up in the last match, he's going to get in that rare air again here, isn't he?
260 plus.
What a performance. Oh, what a great match.
That was a great match. That's as good as it gets out there.
It really is, and that's terrific. And, you know, I think as we here in the month of December and kind of thinking and looking back on the whole year, you know, if you want to think about one of the better and one of your more favorite matches of the year, this one goes on that list as Dana Voytovich answers the call and comes up with a clutch 266 to 246 win. We'll talk to both guys about a great match and get you ready for next week's show when Sue and I return to Mancuso's Bowling Center in Batavia. More to come on Beat the Champ. A classic match, one of the better ones we've had on the show between two outstanding bowlers, results in the 266 to 246 win for Dana over Jeremy. You look like you're hurting out there. How difficult was it for you to bowl that match?
I didn't think it would hurt that bad, but it really is starting to get there. I'm so glad, like I just told you, I'm having surgery in a couple days and I can't wait.
You know, but as it's starting to hurt more, your performance continued to get better. You know, what does that say about your ability to battle through?
Determination, never quit, can't quit.
And it was a heck of a battle, Sue, and I think Dana knew he was going to be in front.
Dana, you were pushed the whole day, and you came up every single time. What's the mindset going into those frames?
I just have a good ball reaction, and I'm throwing it pretty good, so I'm feeling pretty confident. Just making good shots, making my spares.
Great bowling today.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, make both of these guys feel a little bit better.
Yeah, well, Dana's on a roll, so he's going to continue bowling today. So nice game by both of you. But thank you for coming out, Jeremy. That's a little something for your time.
Thank you very much.
Right. Hey, and good luck with the surgery. And I know we're going to see you back here on the show pretty soon in 2018.
Absolutely.
Right?
I'll be
Speed up
back.
that rehab, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't waste too much time with that. All right, we'll wrap this one up. This was a great way to get things started here in Batavia. Sue and I are back for our final segment. Get you ready for next week's shows when we return to Mancuso's Bowling Center right here on Beat the Champ. You know, Sue, as this show has evolved and we've gotten to know the bowlers, I think it's safe to say Jeremy Zimmerman is one of our favorites just because we admire his determination. And I don't know that I've ever seen anybody more determined than what he did in that match, knowing how much he was hurting.
What he did was amazing because it's hard enough to stay steady, keep your timing and everything else in this sport, let alone be dealing with the obstacle of pain. And it says a lot about how far he's come in 2017.
Yeah, and the last two matches says a lot about how hot Dana Voytovich is. He's got some heavy hitters to deal with on next week's show, including Chuck Jagosinski and Joe Pullman potentially. So if Dana is going to get on a Zimmerman-like roll, he's going to have earned it.
Well, he is at the top of his game. Mid-season form is what we kind of call it here in December, and he looks as good as I've ever seen him.
Yeah,
So,
Janelle, at one point I thought you were going to have to go over there and help Jeremy walk over onto the other lane because he really was hobbling.
I know, but you know, he did his thing out there, and we're definitely proud of him, and we wish him the best.
Yeah, and the scores are high, and they're going to keep Janelle working on that Castellone scoreboard because we're off to a great start here. More to come next week when we return to Batavia, New York. Make sure you're watching Beat the Champ.